The Southeast Idaho Paranormal Organization is interested in finding interesting places around Idaho that most people haven't seen. This is a secret canyon in the Twin Falls area. It's private land and not too many people get to come here and see what this canyon's all about. The Southeast Idaho Paranormal Organization has had the opportunity to come and stay here and check it out a little bit. And what we found was this canyon is actually full of mystery. It may look like an ordinary canyon, but what we found here may go far deeper and further back than anywhere else that we've been before. So join us tonight on Mysterious Destinations here in Twin Falls, Idaho. Obsidian. It's everywhere along the top of this canyon, all around the perimeter. But again, interesting enough, we don't find any, or I have not found any, actually down in the canyon. What kind of mysteries do these little black pieces of rock open up for this location? Well, as an archaeologist, obsidian tells me some things. I don't claim to know everything, but the fact that we find so much of this volcanic glass known as obsidian really is significant, and it really makes this whole canyon incredibly mysterious. But what really surprised me was just the amount of obsidian that we have found here on the perimeter of this canyon, an ancient site of the Native Americans here. You'd find possibly 20 to 50 pieces of this black rock. We found thousands of pieces of obsidian. And again, they're not natural. There's probably a source somewhere close by here, but we find pieces like this. Not just flakes or chunks or whatever that we find of obsidian, but literally broken pieces of tools. Again, this to me does not seem like it is small bands of groups of Native Americans like I'm used to seeing here in other parts of Idaho. This must have been a sacred spot, a spot where groups would come from all over, probably especially from the south, and they would come here for whatever reason. To me, probably because this represents a creation place. A place where the world began, a place where they could find spiritual power. And again, they left their remnants, the obsidian pieces that they were making their tools out of.
My first impression of the canyon is it was a very beautiful, beautiful place, and it was full of lots of good history.
The thing I like about the canyon, it's very preserved to what it would have been like when Native Americans would have been using that site. There's not a lot of development in the canyon itself, and so you really get a feeling like you're stepping back in time and going to someplace different.
As an anthropologist, we look for patterns in human behavior. A lot of times, especially dealing with the modern day cultural people, you can find remnants of the past in their current cultural beliefs of today. When we came here to the canyon, one of the things that came to my mind was that just the idea of this being a gathering point, a sacred place for people who don't necessarily live together but share a common ancestry in the past. They would come here at specific times during the year, and that would be a time of festival, a time of trade, and a time where, plain and simple, young people could get to know each other and intermarry. I walked around the edge of the canyon and we could see obsidian flakes everywhere. But interesting enough, when we get down in the canyon, there's not a single obsidian flake or arrowhead to be found. What that really tells me is that the people were camping and doing a lot of their domestic stuff up on the rim of the canyon, and then they were probably going down into the canyon to do sacred ceremonies or whatever they were doing down there.
Right, the canyon was really neat. It's such a beautiful area. Definitely really has a great Native American history about it. The sweat lodge itself was really neat to be able to sit in and just kind of imagine what it was like back in the day when they used it for that purpose. The caves in which they used to sleep in were neat. You could definitely see the remnants of smoke and ash on the actual rock itself, so you knew it was definitely used as a campsite.
Well, mostly the big thing was when I had the Indians, Native Americans from the Duck Valley and the Fort Hall community come here about 15 years ago, and they told me this was the land of the ancient ones. And when I said that, what did you mean? They said the people that were here before our people. Just what's laying on the surface, there's lots of things that can cut meat, very sharp. There's things that grind grain, and in our whole area there's plants of every kind that were used for everything from medicinal to eating. A place that's 5 miles from a city, and yet it could be in Mars when you put it in relationship because it's so remote. It was very remote when I first purchased the property, but we do now have some roads into it where we can actually drive to it and drive down into it.
It has a very diverse history, all the way from ancient Native Americans to pioneers and different peoples using this canyon for different reasons.
I got to have the experience of eating ants, watercress, and mustard flower. That was fun. Lisa joined me in the watercress and mustard flower, not so much the ants.
As I think I've mentioned, and maybe Gary mentioned in his interview, he had the Shoshone-Bannock Indian tribal leaders there years ago, and they told him it was the land of the ancient ones, which he was told is a place where those that predated even our Native American tribes used that Stones Canyon as a place of spiritual healing.
Some of the things that I've experienced ever since I've had the property, I get a sense of not necessarily somebody being there, but it's very, very spiritual, and I feel like I have to protect it. And I've really felt strong that way. A long time ago I realized that I could develop the property for home sites and make a lot of money, but to me that would be like a prostitute. I just can't make myself do that. The Indians have even given me the name of the keeper, which means that I'm guarding it. They said that I'm the person that should have it in their estimation. This has been 15 years ago, and I've tried to live up to that. So.
I said this could be an adventure because the closer I looked at everything, I hadn't expected so many caves to be around, and I hadn't expected, the inside of a canyon to be so inhabitable, because, I guess my image of canyons is restricted to what I saw in Roadrunner cartoons, straight up and down. So that's what they mean when they say people lived in this canyon. It's more like a very, very steep valley.
So here in the canyon we have one of many different rock shelters. Rock shelters like this would have been used for thousands of years. In this part, we've actually found a few pottery shards as well as some fire hearths. So we know that there was occupation. We're being extremely careful right now because the owner has let us know that there's actually a mountain lion that may live deeper in these rocks. But as you can see as we walk through here, this really may have been some sort of domestic area. And in fact, as we look right here, we have a feature. This is possibly an ancient wall. I mean, it definitely seems like it's very straight. We have rocks piled up on top of each other, and so very possibly at one time there was a ancient wall here. You can imagine maybe the men sitting out here. Maybe this is where they would eat. We have a gorgeous view, but we have rocks all around, so it's really well protected. But as you can see, this rock shelter goes quite a ways over here. So this area right here would be great for a domestic setting where you could bring large groups of people or even smaller groups, a family or a couple of families. You have different domestic areas, cook, clean, have another place for children to play, men to sit and talk.
I had some psychics come here. One was from Denmark, who was a base jumper visiting in the town, and I took him around the property and showed him these sites, and he determined from the energy that he was picking up was that this was a place where they made their meals. One of the guides that was leading him around took us to a rock ledge, and we actually climbed up to the top to an overhang, which used to be a lookout point. And he told him that was his favorite spot because they could smell the food being prepared from this place and also could see the ancient sauna. We know another psychic was here recently, and she said the same thing, that this was an area where a lot of spiritual activity is, kind of the vortex of the energy field that she felt. And so we feel that there's a lot of paranormal activity that you'll find in this cave and inside.
Okay, so we found this cave back here. Scott's in the cave. I'm going to run the camera to him real quick and see if we can get some pictures back there.
Okay, Scott, here comes the camera, okay, and it's filming. Sure you can see my feet by now.
We might need Crisco to get me out of here.
Should have had one of the boys send it. Okay, so get it? Almost, just like a little more. Just
Let me get
more.
one more knee in here. There we are.
Okay. Okay, as you can see, I'm going to flash my light down there. This goes pretty far back.
Where'd your horses go, Bill?
This is only big enough for an animal. No. If you're human,
No, I don't see them up there.
I don't think you'd want to try and get back there, but you can see again the Native Americans would have loved this. I mean, they would bury people in caves, they would do things, but they really revered caves, and they would look at these as spiritual places of the underworld. This is as far as I'm going to go, but again, kind of interesting. Can kind of smell a skunk. So I'm getting a little worried. I don't want to have a skunk chase me or anything like that. But so okay, I'd like to start this EVP session. My name's Scott. I'd like to invite anything that's here, if you'd please communicate with us. We have some equipment here that we believe will help us communicate with you, if that is your wish and desire. We're not here to harm you. We're not here to push you out. We just want to make some contact with you. Over here, farther in the cave, we have two items. We have a kind of rectangular box, and it has one light on, a green light. If you go wave your hand or step on it or just get close to it, we're hoping that it will interact with you and that you'll make some lights move up and down. It's actually kind of neat if you want to try it. Move up and down. It's actually kind of neat if you want to try it. And I'm not here to harm you, but I do want to ask some questions. And if you're here in this rock shelter, why do you remain in this place? Or why do you remain in this canyon? Was it something about this canyon that makes you remain here or visit here or just be here at this time? Can you make some sort of sign for us? If you don't want us here, you're going to need to communicate with us. I'll tell you what, if you can make those lights move, that green light right there, if you can make it move, we will leave.
They've often said that specters exist because there's unfinished business, or they left the world of the living. If there's some sort of wrongdoing, does any of that apply? Are you trying to get something done? Are you trying to tell the inhabitants of this canyon something? Or did you die in a wrongful way? And how long have you been gone, departed the world of the living? Did you die in a wrongful way? And how long have you been gone, departed the world of the living? And is there a particular reason that you're reticent to communicate? And that's about all the questions I had. You covered pretty much most of the rest of it.
Yeah. Okay, here we are. Raining. Pretty bad. Gonna go down to the sauna. You got a recorder?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you guys go ahead and get in? I'll just sit down right here. Okay. Those guys are gonna get into the sauna. I also have this. Hey, we had actually fairly good luck with the K2 in here, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
You want me to pass it in?
But it was about the most activity.
Let me pass it in to you. This is EVP session number 1 in the canyon. Let's turn off lights. And we are in the sauna. Okay, this is what we believe to be an ancient sauna. As you can see, there are definitely benches that have been carved into the rock. And what we believe is that ancient peoples had water coming down off of these rocks from natural springs that are just above us. And they would probably have hot rocks or even a fire, because we can see discoloration right here on the rock from where the fires were, which caused a sauna. They would come in here and they would sit and they would enjoy the steam and the heat that was produced from the water and the fire that was here, or they probably used different types of hot rocks. The interesting thing is that this is not a common formation in this part of the Americas. So generally, the purpose behind being in a sweat bath like this was to keep clean. They would use this to cleanse themselves, both physically and spiritually. One thing that's really interesting is these sweat lodges, these saunas, really do work. They open up the pores and they allow the body to sweat and get rid of all of the toxins that are in the body. And so it was a great way to keep clean.
At various times I've been down there. I go down there to meditate and walk and to show people the ancient sauna, the sweat lodge that you referred to, and other caves and some of the other interesting artifacts and relics of that area. I have myself personally escorted 3 psychic mediums there. One was a man from Denmark who I met, who is also a base jumper. And he, at the time when he and I went down there, he connected with a spiritual guide, which he said was a 17-year-old ancient Native American who had been there and guided us around the area. It was very interesting.
It went up to the 3rd beacon.
4,
There it went again. And
right
again.
there.
Is this going above?
It's gone.
Move yours.
And it's gone. It's like it's random.
Let's see.
It went up. It was there for a second, and now it's gone. I don't know. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's no electricity here.
Other than what we have.
No, but it wouldn't.
And this isn't on.
We don't have anything that would cause an
It would
electrical
register?
field. Oh! It's going off right now. Maybe we should try to ask some questions.
Let's saw it do it again.
This device is what you call a K2 meter. And if you touch it or move your hand in front of it, it may be able to detect your presence. So if you can light up those lights, then we will know that you're here. Can you please do that for us? All you need to do is touch it and see if you can make those lights light up. We've appreciated the communication you've given us so far. And
There it goes again.
how far did it go
I
up?
went to the second one, but it went and there's no lightning going on.
If you're here, please give us a sign. If you don't give us a sign, we will not leave. Do you have a secret about this place? We're here to find your secret. Please communicate with us. It's the best way. Again, if you can make these lights move, we appreciate it. That's a good way that we know that you're here and that you're communicating with us. Can you knock on the rocks like this?
A big flash of lightning.
Yeah, this didn't activate. There it goes. Look at that.
There it is. It's reacting to what you're saying.
Whatever you just said. Either very happy or very mad, maybe it was leaving, or maybe it just came back. There it goes. Getting that?
So are you here?
I call that a yes.
Sitting in the sweat lodge, I could tell it wasn't built for a person over about 5'8". I was scrunched in there pretty good, but it felt almost comfortable, almost felt like a hug. I hate to say that, but it felt like a hug. It was just a real pleasant place to be.
So the sauna was a really cool experience for all of us. I believe Eric and I went into the sauna first, and we were in there for a while. I was looking around, looking for something to happen. Nothing really happened. We didn't have anything going off on the K2 meter. And so we swapped with Mark and Scott. And when Mark and Scott got in there, we began to have a little bit of activity. It was cool to me to watch the K2 meter go off as Scott began to speak some of the native languages. Like, it seemed to react directly to those words. I can speak a little bit of Yucatec Mayan. What I found really interesting was when I started speaking little phrases in that language, all of a sudden we started to get responses on the K2 meter. Please, show us again that you're here. If you will make it light up right now, we will leave your place and leave you alone, and we will not return. Shadow! Up, up, up!
Where?
Something just blocked out. Something just blocked out the light right here.
You want us to go look?
Above. Right above.
I'm not seeing anything.
Don't fall. You okay? That was kind of freaky. No, I just looked up and you know how you could see?
Yeah, or something.
All of a sudden there's something out there. Did you hear it move? I just heard it move right there. Is there an animal or something? We got to try and recreate that.
Blast it with lights, look for eyes.
It's gone.
No, I didn't hear anything.
All I know, that was weird. You talked, and then the second you spoke, you started speaking that Mayan, that thing like lit up like crazy.
Yellow consistently for 30 seconds.
Need help getting up? I
No,
want
no. I was just trying to see where I fell.
I looked up through that hole. All of a sudden, it was really fast, but it just went whoosh, and it was like it blocked out the light for just a millisecond. But it was like almost a blink. Later on that night, you know, I was sitting in the sweat lodge, and it is very tight in there, but if you look up, you can see a crack, and you can kind of see outside the sweat lodge. Now, there was enough light out that I could plainly see, you know, the grass and stuff growing above the sweat lodge. I describe it as just a really quick flash. You know, the opening wasn't that big, so I really couldn't see a shape. It was just, I could see the light, and then all of a sudden something walked past it. It just blocked out the light. And I got very excited, so I just simply started pointing up and telling John and Mark that I had seen something. Of course, we ran up there, no one else saw anything, and we didn't see any more shadows that night.
And to be honest, the higher the KE meter jumped, kind of the more nervous I became. And then when Scott told me that he saw a shadow, I said, oh boy, that could be nothing. It could be something paranormal, or it could be the mountain lion I heard about.
And then when Scott saw the shadow, we ran up, we looked around, we didn't see anything, but you know, you could almost feel like there was a presence there with us. It was just a really cool experience.
You catching salmon?
Yeah. I would love to get on that other side and just absolutely. Like you can
see where
you
see how you look around.
I can see the pass.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that he was really bad. Well, that's too bad.
If you look, you can see where they were walking along the sides.
In your boat?
You can also kind of see where they were digging a little bit.
See, right
like
there.
right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Like right there. Well, you can see the indentation.
Yeah, you can see how it comes down, and then we have kind of a bare spot, and a bare spot over there.
And then there's big rocks over that one.
Exactly.
That's where they were digging.
Probably.
I consider traces of things that were once living, you might call those ghosts, to be more of a possibility now, because maybe the universe was out to prove something to me, because I generally approach these things very skeptically. I I don't know if I would call it ghosts in the way that most people think of them, because when most people think of ghosts, they think of a very highly intelligent creature who will interact with you and throw knives and, you know, dinner forks across the room. But as far as some trace of something living that was once there and can interact with human beings to a limited degree, yeah. So my mind up to that possibility, because, you know, I saw concrete evidence of something that I can't explain. An X-file?
One really neat thing about this canyon is that it wasn't just inhabited in ancient times. In modern day, there have been several different people inhabit this area. As you can see against this, the cliff on the other side of the river, especially down there, it's very clear. You can see what looks like to be the entrance of a cave. What that is it is actually a Chinese mine. At the turn of the century, late 1800s, the Chinese actually came down this canyon and mined it for different types of ores. The Chinese were not allowed to mine with the rest of the people. So what the Chinese were forced to do is they had to go along the river and they had to dig their mines in this very treacherous and rugged riverside. And today you can still see the remnants on the cliff face of what is left of their mines. I'm sure that if we went down there today and we began to search and dig around in those rocks, we could find artifacts left from those Chinese miners who mined this cliff face so long ago.
Whoa, look at that. It jumped all the way up to the red for a second. Not sure why. I guess it's done now, isn't it?
Let me see it. Go ahead and talk. There it is again.
Whoa. Whoa. You got any electrical devices anywhere?
No. Speak any Chinese?
Don't.
If you're here with us, can you make it do that one more time? Okay, we take that as a yes.
Big yes.
Were you Chinese? Did you mine in this area? Did you know anyone that mined in this area? Did you die here? Did you die on the other side in one of the mines? He doesn't know. Here we go. What do you want us to know?
Holy. Just won't stop.
Is it a woman?
Are you a man? Are you a woman?
Is it man and woman?
Are you still here with us?
I think that was a big goodbye light show.
Kind of like the 4th of July.
Just wanted to say hi.
That was wild.
That was crazy.
No, it's gone. It's gone, whatever it was.
This wasn't such a bad detour. There it is again. Did you see that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, because it jumped up to yellow.
Are you here again with us? Or are you just passing by? Nothing. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's no electrical fields out here.
It's like right when we turned around and walked away.
Hey, something just made my camera go wide zoom by itself.
Are you positive?
Yeah, it just went by itself.
Zooming in on anything in particular?
It just zoomed all by itself.
Out of curiosity, where did it zoom to? Did it zoom up there somewhere?
No, it just zoomed straight down to the ground. I went like this, and next thing I know is I'm watching it zoom, and my hand isn't touching anything. The thing that's crazy is there's no electricity out here. Like there's absolutely...
My phone battery died a long time ago. I left it at camp.
Well, your phone battery wouldn't do that. I mean...
I know, I'm just saying I left it way back at camp because I
How
croaked
close
the
do I have to
battery.
get before it'll...
Nothing. Doesn't even do anything.
Nothing.
Fascinating.
It's not the camera. It can't be the camera. It would be doing that all the time. Yeah. Those were some pretty high fields.
Yeah.
Well, that one, it sustained.
Yeah. Like, it literally looked like...
It's almost like it was trying to communicate to your friend.
Yeah. Or really intensely.
Towards the end of the night, we walked over to the other side of the canyon, over to where the Chinese mines were. And so it's very rocky, it's a cool place, but the thing is there's no electricity there, there's nothing there. When we were there, we began to ask questions about if there was anybody there, if they were Chinese miners, things of that sort. And suddenly the K2 meter just went wild. It lit all the way up, and it stayed lit.
Out next to the waterfall, when the K2 meter went off, there was no reason for it. There was nothing electrical around. The water was hundreds of feet below us. There was no lightning at the time. The rain wasn't happening. And it seemed to respond every time someone would ask it a question.
I asked a few flippant questions, and this guy asked it a few more serious questions, and nothing happened. And literally arrives, we were going to turn around to leave. I mean, that thing like skyrocketed in a way that's practically unchartable, because usually even when it jumps to a full reading, it's in kind of a flicker or like lights blink on and off. This was, you know, full on lights, completely solid, completely all the way up in the whole semicircle formation. So I define that as that was beyond a maximum reading.
As we were standing there near the cliff, talking to the Chinese mines that are on the other side, all of a sudden the K2 meter just started to light up like a Christmas tree. And it wasn't just one quick bleep. It was a sustained hit on the K2 meter. All of us were watching it, and we couldn't believe that the K2 meter was going berserk as it was. It really seemed like something was trying to communicate. I began to ask him very specific questions, and I knew that there had been Chinese miners in the area, so I began to ask if perhaps one of their entities was in the area. And the K2 meter continued to get hit very hard as I asked that question.
At my first investigation with SEIPO, I had a lot of fun. The guys and the gals were great. Very professional organization, and the investigation they took me on was fun, and it was entertaining and very educational. I'd never been on an investigation like this that was so focused on history rather than just basically thrill-seeking. I learned a lot from it. I look forward to doing investigations with CPO again in the future.
I loved the canyon. I thought it was a great place to go, and we felt very honored as CPO to be able to come into the canyon and have a guided tour with the stones. They are wonderful people, and we've really enjoyed listening to their stories and listening to the history of the area.
My impressions of the CPO group, even beginning when I first met the Bryan brothers, was of total professionalism. They came well prepared. They were looking not just for like the thrill part of things, but they were interested in the historical aspect of this canyon, and had the utmost respect for the canyon, for the investigation, and throughout the time that they were there, and honored the wishes of the owners. The investigation was performed with the utmost integrity.
My overall impression of the canyon is, again, it was an excellent investigation. I really liked the canyon, and the reason why is because it was an investigation that fit our group very well. We had an interesting location, we had lots of good stories, but yet there was a lot of mystery there too. You could see that this was a place that people had been going for a very long time. And as an anthropologist, I can look at areas like that and just imagine what the stories were behind that canyon.
I like to walk up to the canyon walls and just stand there with my back against the wall and look straight up and feel the power coming off that wall. And it's very, very strong to me. I can feel it everywhere down there. And I really truly feel like it could be a place of the beginning. It's just every time I go down there, there's a time that I can't, there's never been a time that I can't feel those feelings. And they're very strong to me, overwhelming to anything else almost. And it's almost like when I'm down with people giving them a tour or something, I don't feel possessed necessarily, but I feel like I'm speaking for the people that I'm discovering, is a good way to put it maybe.